If someone had asked me a year ago whether I trusted my wife, I would have said yes without hesitation. We were approaching our 7th wedding anniversary. 7 years each. I had joked about it once, half laughing, half anxious. Melissa had just smiled and kissed me, saying, "It's not an itch if you know you're with the right person." I believed her. Melissa and I met in college. I was majoring in architecture, she in culinary arts. Food was her world. Her dream was to open her own restaurant someday, a small, intimate place where she could pour her heart into every dish. I loved that about her, her passion, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about ingredients, textures, flavors. I'm a man of straight lines and solid structures, she was all flow and feeling. Maybe that's why we worked. Or so I thought. I worked long hours. Too long, maybe. The past year had been brutal. A new promotion meant more money but also more time away. I told myself it was worth it. Melissa never complained, though I could sense her loneliness sometimes. I tried to make it up to her on weekends, date nights, little surprises. One surprise, it turned out, was already being planned, just not by me. It started subtly. Melissa became more guarded with her phone. She stayed late at her restaurant even on nights she wasn't scheduled to. I noticed her perfume seemed stronger when she came home, a richer scent than usual. I told myself I was imagining things. After all, she loved her work. Maybe a new dish required late hours. Maybe a new supplier, new wine tasting. But the signs kept building. The late-night texts she wouldn't show me. The sudden interest in lingerie I'd never seen before. The way she flinched when I hugged her unexpectedly. The final crack came during our anniversary dinner. Melissa suggested we dine at Riviere, the upscale French place where she sometimes helped out on special nights. I was surprised. We usually chose somewhere quieter, more personal. But she insisted. The food is amazing. I want you to experience it. The night started beautifully. The maitre d' greeted us warmly, leading us to a window table. The space was elegant, candlelit. As we settled in, a tall man in crisp whites emerged from the kitchen, Chef Armand, the executive chef. Handsome, confident, and clearly familiar with Melissa. "Ah, ma chère, you are here," he said, leaning down to kiss both her cheeks. His gaze lingered a beat too long. Melissa flushed but smiled. "Armand, this is my husband, Daniel." He shook my hand, firm and knowing. I felt an instinctive dislike, something primal. The way he looked at her, not as a colleague. As something more. Dinner was exquisite, but I barely tasted it. I watched them, the shared glances, the subtle touches when he came by our table. Melissa laughed more freely with him than she had with me in months. After dessert, I excused myself to the restroom. On my way back, I took a wrong turn down a side corridor near the kitchen. That's when I heard it, hushed voices, unmistakably hers and his. "I can't believe you asked him to come here," Armand said, voice low, intimate. "He insisted on celebrating tonight." "I didn't know what else to do," Melissa replied. "You shouldn't have to keep pretending." A pause, then her voice, softer. "I know. I hate lying to him, but I hate the thought of losing you more." My heart stopped. I staggered back before they saw me, forcing myself to return to the table, face composed. I sat there as if nothing had happened, watching my wife smile, watching the man who was taking her from me serve us digestifs. When we got home, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to be sure, needed proof my mind wasn't crafting a false narrative. The next morning, while she showered, I checked her phone, something I had never done in our marriage. The messages were there. Weeks of them. Late-night trysts in the restaurant after hours. Weekend getaways under the pretense of culinary conferences. Words that cut deeper than any knife. "Being with you is the only time I feel alive. I wish I could leave him, but it's so complicated. I love you, Armand. I want to be yours." I sat on our bed, phone trembling in my hands, a sickness rising in my throat. The woman I had loved, built a life with, was already halfway gone. When Melissa emerged from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, smiling, I could barely look at her. "Everything okay?" she asked, noticing my pale face. I swallowed hard. "Yeah. Just tired. I wasn't ready yet. Not ready to tear it all down. Not without a plan. Not without knowing if there was anything left to save." But something inside me had shifted that night. The trust was gone. The man I had been, the loving, faithful husband, was gone too. And in his place stood someone colder. Someone waiting. The days that followed were a strange limbo. I went through the motions, woke up, went to work, came home, but everything felt hollow, unreal. Melissa seemed unaware of what I'd heard, what I'd read. If anything, she was warmer, almost as if guilt had ignited a last flicker of affection. But for me, that flame was out. I wasn't impulsive. Architecture had taught me patience, planning. I needed to confront her, yes, but in a way that left no doubt, no room for denial. I started gathering evidence. The messages I'd copied to my laptop. The receipts from the weekends she'd been away on business. The photo of her and Armand, arm in arm, leaving a boutique in broad daylight. Each piece felt like a nail in the coffin of our marriage. It took a week to build the courage. That Friday, I arranged to work from home. "Melissa left early, helping prep a special menu tonight," she said cheerfully. I waited an hour, then drove to Riviere. I knew the restaurant layout by now, knew there was a service door near the back alley. By 6:30 p.m., I was parked nearby, watching. At 7:10, Armand arrived, not in chef's whites, but in casual clothes. He entered through the service door. 10 minutes later, Melissa appeared, dressed not for kitchen work but for a date, short black dress, heels I hadn't seen before. She kissed him in the doorway. That was it. I drove home in silence, my heart oddly calm. The anger had burned out, leaving something colder behind, resolve. When she returned that night, close to midnight, she found me sitting in the living room. The lights were dim. The laptop was open on the coffee table, messages displayed like evidence in a trial. She froze in the doorway. "Daniel." Her voice wavered. "Sit," I said quietly. She obeyed, eyes wide. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the faint ticking of the wall clock. "I know," I said simply. "I've known for weeks." Tears welled in her eyes. "Daniel, I..." "Stop," I cut in, voice steady. "Don't insult me with excuses. Don't waste either of our time. I want the truth. All of it." And to her credit, or maybe out of exhaustion, she told it. It had started 6 months ago. A night after service, too many glasses of wine. Armand had kissed her, and she hadn't stopped him. It escalated quickly, stolen moments in the kitchen, hotel rendezvous on nights she claimed she was working late. "I didn't mean to fall in love with him," she whispered. "But I did." The words hit harder than any slap. "I gave you everything," I said, my voice breaking. "Supported your dream. Loved you through everything. And this is how you repay me?" Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I could control it, but I can't." I stood, the distance between us suddenly vast. "I deserve better than half a wife," I said. "I deserve someone who chooses me. Every day." "You made your choice." "Are you leaving?" she choked. "No," I said. "You are." She stared at me, stricken. "Daniel." "It's done," I said firmly. "I've spoken to a lawyer. The papers will be ready next week. I suggest you start packing." For a moment, I thought she'd argue. But then something in her seemed to deflate, as if she'd known this was inevitable. She nodded slowly, tears falling unchecked. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. I met her gaze one last time. "Maybe you didn't," I said. "But you stopped respecting me. And without that, love means nothing." I left her there, sitting on the couch amidst the ruins of our life. The weeks that followed were a blur: legal meetings, packing, the awkward division of belongings. Melissa moved out quietly, without drama. I heard later that she continued seeing Armand. Maybe they deserved each other. For me, healing was slow. There were nights I lay awake, replaying every moment, wondering if I'd missed the signs earlier, wondering what I could have done differently. But in time, the pain dulled, the memories faded. And slowly, I began to reclaim myself. I took up new hobbies, things I'd always wanted to try but never had time for. I traveled, alone at first, learning to find joy in solitude. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from during my marriage. And perhaps most importantly, I learned that losing someone unworthy of your trust is not truly a loss, it's a clearing of space for something better. I don't hate Melissa anymore. I hope she finds what she was searching for, though I suspect it was never Armand or anyone else, it was something missing within herself. As for me, I've moved forward. Not bitter, not broken, just wiser. And next time, if there is a next time, I'll choose someone who knows that love isn't about fleeting excitement. It's about loyalty. Respect. Showing up, even when it's hard. And never, ever walking away from the table you set together.